warm hello to you. I hope you're good where you are. Today I bring you a book review of the novel Fathers of Nations. Fathers of Nations looks like this. It is a book written by Paul B. Vita. It is around 600 shillings. It will be worth your money. First of all, this book was first published in 2013 and after revision published in 2021. So, Fathers of Nations. You see the word fathers, don't go on to think about father, like father figure of a family, of a society. No. A father in this case refers to a president. It's a bit sarcastic because when you compare father to a president, we're gonna have different notions because almost everyone won't agree. Now, Fathers of Nations talks about the presidents of nations. In this case, it talks about the president of the African states, of the African countries. Now, this book is an allegory of a contemporary African society, and in this case, it depicts an African society or an African country, an African president, and so on. Now, 50 heads of states are in Banjul, Gambia. See, Africa right now is not going through development. Other countries are developing, and other countries, I mean other continents. But when you come to look at the African continent, development a bit low. Now, different researchers have come up with a development strategy that they think that will bring development in Africa. Now, in this case, all the African presidents have come to approve this strategy. And therefore, these African presidents are now in Banjul, Gambia. You see, Paul Vita tries to take us to Banjul, Gambia to actually see what is happening in these summits. Now, you see, this development strategy is forcing a different strategy. This strategy is referred to as Way Omega. The researchers have come up with Way Omega, and they believe that Way Omega will bring about development in Africa. But we have a development agency represented by a person called Tad Longway. If you read the book, you'll get to understand more. They think that Way Omega doesn't really have the interests of Africa, and therefore won't bring about development in Africa. Now, Tad Longway tries to find a way to bring his development strategy, referred to as Path Alpha, that he thinks will bring about development in Africa. He goes on to the different parts of Africa, the northern part, the southern part, the eastern part, the western part, to try and recruit people who will end up supporting his strategy. When you read the book, you'll find that Tad Longway, the person who brings about Path Alpha, is not really African. So he's therefore bringing about Africans to go on and bring the strategy into play. He comes up with a group of around 5 people. We have Professor Kimani from the University of Nairobi in Kenya. We have Comrade Melusi from Zimbabwe, the southern part of Africa. We have Pastor Chineke Chamaka from Nigeria, in the western part of Africa. And then we have Engineer Sifta here from the northern part of Africa. You see, in this case, he tries to bring a point. This means that the different African countries are facing a particular problem, and therefore the one development strategy will solve their problem. That's why he goes to different parts of Africa to recruit specific people who will bring his strategy, Path Alpha, into play. Now, you see, there's still one more person, but in this case, he has a link between Africa and the outside world. That is Dr. Abiola Afolabi. Now, it is interesting that Dr. Abiola Afolabi is recruited by Tad Longway, and in this case, he is the secretary to the summit. And you go closely to the book, you'll find that he wrote a book named Failure of States. Yeah. Anyway, that aside, so Tad Longway brings about these different people from different parts of Africa to bring about the different development strategy that he believes will bring about development in Africa. Now, you see, these different people whom Ted Longway are kind of assembled are facing different challenges that make them be bitter about their president and their presidents and their governments. You look at the life of Professor Kimani, you'll see that he undergoes challenges that makes him be bitter about his government and his president. He therefore fully embraces this path alpha that he thinks will bring about change in his country. You go on to the life of Engineer Sifta here. He also faces problems or challenges that makes him bitter towards his president and the government as a whole, and he also embraces this second strategy, Path Alpha. We go to the western part, we have Pastor Chineke Chiamaka. This is a pastor who is banned from preaching, so he is bitter towards the government. Come to read the book, you'll find that during a church sermon, he criticizes the government. The government finds out and arrests him, puts him in a jail, and bans him from preaching. And in this case, he is bitter towards the government, and therefore he embraces a different strategy that he'll think is contrary to what his president chooses. We go to the southern part. We have Comrade Melusi as a Zimbabwean freedom fighter who is neglected by his government. You'll find out that his wife is killed, his people are killed, maimed and killed because they just belong to a different tribe as compared to the tribe in which the president is in. He is also bitter about these challenges that he is facing, and that's why he chooses the development strategy contrary to what the president chooses. You see, these different people have a common something in common in that they hold a grudge towards the government, and that's why they go on to choose a development strategy that they think will bring about change in Africa. This book is an interesting book. It brings about, it openly explains the different, the presidents of Africa shows how they are ignorant, illiterate. We even have a president who can't communicate in English, and yet he is in a summit. Yeah. So Paul Vita tries to show us the kind of presidents, the leaders we have in Africa. How these leaders are the main cause of the challenges that Africa is facing. How these leaders lead to underdevelopment in Africa. And therefore, apart from all that, it brings a hope there might be a way to bring about development in Africa. It is an interesting book as it mainly talks about the African politics. See, presidents brings about politics, the African people's lives and their view towards their poor leadership. And it actually brings about the concept of the African people actually needing change. So it is a nice book. I'd tell you to get it and read it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Goodbye.